Today's video is going to be about Bitcoin, specifically its price action, and we're going to be covering a couple of different things that are in the news and some of which are not. I'm going to be talking about some of the price predictions, what could cause Bitcoin to go to $8,000. There's an indicator that most people do not follow that you probably should. Also in the news, Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy is doing his thing with Bitcoin again. I'm going to tell you how much he recently bought on what is considered the dip. Also, Goldman Sachs has a dismal outlook on what Coinbase is going to be worth very soon. I'm going to give you what their prediction is, and if you hold any Coinbase stock, you might want to hear this. Also, our favorite chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler, recently made comments about Bitcoin and not exactly on anything else in the cryptocurrency world. I'm going to tell you what he said about Bitcoin and what some of the speculators are, especially in the Ripple versus the SEC case. Wonder why he said what he said about Bitcoin and nothing else. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And right now on this channel, I'm covering cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Late Night Grind community. Also, if you do two things, I'd really appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up button and watch this video all the way to the end. Those are the two best things you can do to support a YouTube channel. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Okay, so Gary Gensler, who is the head of the SEC currently, has come out and finally labeled Bitcoin a commodity. Now, he did this and nothing else. There's no other cryptocurrencies that he labeled commodities, not even Ethereum, even though his predecessor, one of his predecessors at the SEC gave an entire speech that labeled Ethereum a non-security digital asset. And if you watch this channel, you know that's what we talk about a lot. Nonetheless, he has labeled Bitcoin the only commodity in the cryptocurrency world, which leaves basically the rest of the cryptocurrencies open for regulation by enforcement. Now, a lot of people like John Deaton, who represents 68,000 XRP holders, going after the SEC for basically their disgusting regulation by enforcement actions where they can pick and choose rules and kind of make it up as they go along. But nonetheless, Gary Gensler pointed out Bitcoin because it was about time. It took him an entire year to label Bitcoin a commodity. It should not have taken him that long at all. And nonetheless, he was picking and choosing his words wisely. Bitcoin, the one that's labeled a non-security digital asset, at this point, a commodity, good for investors, good for traders, and we're going to see if that's actually good for the rest of the cryptocurrency world, even though the SEC did that so they can put targets on everybody else's back. And of course, on the backs of that, we have news that Michael Saylor went ahead and bought the dip, even though he was essentially being margin called as a massive loan that he had taken out to buy Bitcoin was coming due because the price of Bitcoin was dipping. Well, he went ahead and bought even more Bitcoin, much smaller amounts than he usually buys, about $10 million worth at a price of about $20,800. He bought 400 and some odd more Bitcoin to add to his 129,000 total Bitcoin. Peter Schiff, who was basically the anti-Bitcoin gold bug as we know him, he tweeted out and said Michael Saylor really only did that to try and show investors that he has confidence in Bitcoin, even though it's probably a foolish thing to do at this point. But that's what Peter Schiff loves to do. And in fact, whenever he makes these comments, Bitcoin seems to make a move to the upside. It's very strange. And so in the coming days and weeks, we're probably going to find out as the Fed making more announcements what that's going to do to Bitcoin and if it indeed is going to push that price upward. Okay, so Coinbase is one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. Based in the United States, its stock has not done well. Ever since its IPO, it has basically tanked and tanked and tanked. Well, right now, Goldman Sachs does not make investors feel any better because they actually recently came out and said they expect that they expected the value of Coinbase's stock to drop by an additional 60%. Now, that would be horrendous for people that already hold Coinbase stock, which has already been hurt enough. And of course, when Coinbase announces that they're laying off hundreds of people, that doesn't add to the confidence of people actually buying in, hence why the price is probably tanking right along with, well, everything else on the NASDAQ as well as the crypto world. So in a lot of ways, it makes sense. So nonetheless, Goldman Sachs going out on a tiny, tiny branch and saying it's going to drop an additional 60%. Maybe they're trying to create more FUD, helping that price to drop even lower before they buy back in big. Okay, so going along with some price movements about Bitcoin, there's some speculation, some price predictions about Bitcoin's bottom price. Now, there's some that feel that 17,500 is in fact the bottom and that we're only going up from there, or it may in fact double bottom again at about 17.5 before it continues upward. But there's others that think, you know what, 14,000, that's definitely doable. 10,000, that's a possibility. Even 8, how about $7,000? There's a specific indicator that I've been watching, and that some of the other technical analysis that I've been watching say you need to keep an eye on, and that is the DXY. What is that? That is the dollar index. Right now, it is sitting at about 105, and it largely goes in the opposite direction of Bitcoin. Whenever the dollar takes a dive, Bitcoin seems to have a pump upward. And the reverse then happens. When the dollar goes up, Bitcoin typically goes down. So Sam Price, who is a full-time crypto trader for the last several years, says, listen, if the dollar, which seems to look like it wants to pump to the upside, which is not good for Bitcoin, if it reaches 110, 111, 112, he said, in all likelihood, you would be looking at an $8,000, possibly a $7,000 Bitcoin if the dollar ever gets up that high. The dollar is up against a major resistance zone that it's been up against for several decades, that it hasn't really crossed over, at least not too much over. Well, right now it's slightly over that resistance threshold, and it looks from the charts like it's going to pump to the upside. So if you watch some technical analysis on the dollar, you're going to also want to watch what the Fed and the Treasury announce. And if you believe like Robert Kiyosaki is, and that the Fed and the Treasury are basically evil, disgusting organizations, well, then you're not going to like what they have to say, because some people think that regardless of the inflation, that they're going to be stopping raising rates, and they're going to be printing more money by the end of the year in order to prop up the dollar even higher, even if it's a falsified value. But regardless, if there is a value of 110, 111, 112 on the dollar on the DXY, a very low Bitcoin price could be coming in. In fact, Robert Kiyosaki, who I don't put a whole lot of trust in, said he's going to be looking at $1,100 levels for Bitcoin. Personally, I don't think it could get that low, but then again, there's a lot of people who thought that it would never get down to 17,000 again. So we'll see. All right, guys, if you're new to this channel, I wanted to direct your attention to the community tab on my channel. I put up polls up there pretty much on a daily or a weekly basis. I'd love to know what you guys think about all of these different topics in the crypto world, in the trading world, and in the global macroeconomic world. I put up polls up there. I'd love to see what you guys think. Also, check out the description below. I have links to several people inside of the crypto Twitter community, specifically the XRP community, specifically John Deaton, who's actually going after the SEC. So if you want to follow him and see his case against the SEC, it's absolutely fascinating. A, continue to watch this channel, and B, follow him on Twitter. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.